Welcome to Prasad Pod. I'm your host, Jarrell Prasad.
And I'm Paul Campbell.
Today we got a lot of exciting topics to talk about, guys. We're going to talk about the possibility of getting refund checks from the government. We're going to segue in a little bit of what Kash Patel is doing with the FBI. And we're going to wrap it up with our favorite topic, XRP. So, Paul, why don't you take over?
Yeah, so as I'm sure a lot of you have been made aware of, and as we discussed in our last podcast, there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse going on with the spending of our governments, the spending of our tax dollars by our government and different agencies within the government, non-government organizations. But one of the things that came up with was this figure, $5,000 for everybody due to this fraud, waste, and abuse, which sounds really good. I mean, if you gave me $5,000 right now, I'd be pretty happy. But if what was really owed was way more than that, then I would, want what is owed to me. So before we got on and started recording, Jarrell and I actually did the math because there's, approximately 153 million tax-paying citizens in the United States. There's, people who are younger, there's 350 million in the country, so a lot of them are going to be kids, a lot of them be, homeless people, immigrants, people who don't pay taxes, right? So, but the number for taxpayers is 153 million, allegedly. Who knows? I mean,
153.8, allegedly.
Yes, exactly. But that's the number. That's when you Google it, that's what you find. So now, if all of this fraud, waste, and abuse that's been going on, I saw on the Jesse Waters show the other day, is that they found like 4.7 trillion with a T dollars that are unaccounted for. In other words, like they don't know where they sent the money to. And remember, last week we discussed, they're sending money to Uganda to study LGBTQ awareness and ridiculous crap like that. A transgender comic book in Ireland or something like that. DEI theater awareness,
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous that it's. But anyway, we talked about that in the last podcast. So then it got us thinking, like, well, all that money that's been going out, is that $5,000 worth of my tax dollars? Like, if I got paid $5,000, would that make me whole? It's like, no. The actual number is 30,000, and that's just from what they've been discovering in Trump's been in office for a month now. This is what they've found. So I'm not happy with 50K.
Yeah.
You owe me a lot more money than that.
5K is like, it seems like, all right, here's hush money, be quiet and be happy about, hey, we're finding a lot of this abuse, and it's going to go to pay down the national debt. But, sorry, you've been screwed over for so many years. So here's $5,000. Hope you feel happy about it. But, I'm not happy with that. I mean, I'm grateful, but, that's not really going to make much of a difference to impact the everyday person's debt. Normal average people are living paycheck to paycheck and maxing out credit cards just to make ends meet. So $5,000 isn't really going to do much. I mean, you can, if they actually did the math and gave us a $30,000 check, that would be, fantastic. I mean, I'd say we deserve like at least 100K. 100K would radically change people's lives and, change the economy, and they can afford it. They can afford it because, they're saving millions of money. And, don't send, $1 billion to Ukraine or Israel. And, you could afford to do that for the American citizen, the tax paying, reward us. I mean, 5K is kind of a slap in the face when the Biden administration was giving illegal immigrants 10K and 10K and
More than
hotels.
that.
And you're right. Remember that?
That it was something like they just stopped like last week. There was a $58 million going towards housing illegals in luxury hotels, like, the Ritz-Carlton and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so listen, when you hear that, not you, obviously, Jarrell, you're smart, but this is to our audience. When you hear they're sending $58 million to house illegals in luxury hotels, there's two things going on. One, that's probably happening, right? And B, a huge chunk of that money is not going to house people at luxury hotels, illegals at luxury hotels. It's the slush fund. The money never actually gets to where it's going. Maybe this much of it does, but the vast majority of it goes to whatever special interest, anonymous wallets, this, that, and the other. So it's unaccounted for. And the funny thing about this too, and people will say like, oh, well, crypto is a scam. There is a lot of crypto scams out there, but if you, it's much, much easier to launder money using cash than it is crypto, because crypto, I know where it's going at the end of the day. I know where it was and I know where it's going because you can track these wallets. I can hand you cash and that can't be traced. If I have enough cash, stored away and I can hand it to people, that can't be traced. That's how you really money launder, is by handing people cash. So the point is, this can be solved if they move this onto the blockchain, but that's a little bit broader for what we wanted to focus on for this one topic. They owe us, because the money that's being wasted is our money. This is your money and this is my money. I didn't want to pay for all these government programs. And remember, the 4.7 trillion, that's just what they found in the last month. That's literally scratching the surface of how they've been wasting and our money and stealing from us and sending it to themselves and to their fraternity brothers and sisters and all these things that different countries, different special interest groups, they're all slush funds. It's all money laundering.
Yeah.
And what's been driving me absolutely crazy is these people like, oh, what are they going to do? They're trying to, they're going to stop sending money to, Puerto Rican kids with 11 toes. This is the worst thing that I've ever heard. All these stupid, sob stories that they give you. None of those people are getting the money. So this needs to stop.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's atrocious. It's egregious, and the American people should be upset, and we should make our voices heard. And if you do the math, yeah, $4.7 trillion, divided by 153.8 taxpayers, million taxpayers, that should be at least a $30,000 check in your wallet. You should be able to significantly make a difference in your life with a $30,000 check. That'll do something. And then here's the thing, and it shouldn't be anything like when Biden was handing out stimulus checks, or the stimulus checks you got before, where it came out of your tax refund and you had to pay it back. No, this should be a no holds bar check from the government to you. You're not, it doesn't count against you. You file your taxes, and you have to pay it back, or it comes out of your earned income. No, it should just be a straight one and done from the government. I mean, honestly, not one and done. They should pay you in installments, for the next, 50 plus years. But, at least one $30,000 check. And it should be, if you're a married household, you should get 60,000. I mean, it should be to each individual taxpayer. Just because you're filing jointly doesn't mean you get, gypped out of it. You should get a full check. You and your wife should get a $30,000 check. That's what it should be. And we're letting you know that.
This is just what they found so far. Imagine what they're going to find over the next year. And that the 30 grand that we've calculated is just what they found so far. This doesn't go into the military spending. This doesn't go into Social Security. This doesn't go into, a million and one other things, state taxes. This is just what we found so far. They owe us, each of us, at least 30 grand on average. Okay. I've been paying taxes since I was 16 when I started working. So I've been working for 21 years. I've paid way more than that in taxes. I mean, in the last 5 years alone, if we're going to do a tax refund for all the taxes I've paid, it's at least $100,000. So it's like, some people are going to have more, some people are going to less. We're just talking about the averages here. But this is insane when you actually break down the numbers. What the government owes you and me, it's absolutely crazy. And the ultimate reason why we want to bring this to your awareness is don't let them lowball you. Like $5,000. Yeah, that's just the first payment of what you owe me for all this crap that you've been stealing from me. Because, taxation is theft. I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
as a registered libertarian, I'm not going to back off from that. And especially when they use it for programs that I don't approve of and for extra constitutional endeavors, which are illegal. The Constitution limits the government, but of course the Constitution has been totally burned and torn apart. So this is what we're dealing with now. So we wanted to touch on this one real quick. Is they owe us way more money than just this. Okay. Um,
And if you do get $5,000, if they're gonna lowball us and you get that, don't go out and blow it. Be smart, invest it in something that will, return your dividends. Put it. I would put it in XRP. I'm sure Paul would do it the same.
like gold, silver, XRP, real estate, whatever you can get. Like, if you're into buying rare minerals, buy that. I don't care what you spend your money on, but remember this, any money that you get back should be a windfall of an investment opportunity. Don't go out and buy a Gucci bag. You know what I mean? Because the money's going to change soon, and we're going to talk about that later. But, now what on the same topic of the 5,000, we want to stay with money for real quick. I wanted to play you guys this clip really quick because on the subject of they owe us way more than $5,000. And we hear about Fort Knox as that's where all the gold is, but like whose gold is it? Well, it's the taxpayers' gold. This is our country, therefore this is our money. Okay, it's the people's money, and Fort Knox hasn't been audited since like 1974 or something ridiculous. You would think that they would check to see if the gold was there and that they
And
would
then
publish their findings annually, right?
when it was audited, they didn't even check all the gold in there. They just opened it up and saw, hey, yeah, there's gold in there, and
Right.
that's it. They didn't count everything and make sure that the numbers match. Yeah, somebody could have snuck in there and stole a ton of 2 or 3 tons of gold bars, and they wouldn't have known.
And what Elon says in this clip is, let's make sure somebody didn't spray paint some lead or something like that, because really they should make sure that this money is still there. Now, if they have all the gold, that's really good. Now, I haven't pulled it up, but there's been many reports, and you can search it yourself. A lot of different countries, specifically England, has been sending gold to America. There's something that's been going on, even going back to Trump's last presidency, where he was collecting gold from all these different countries. And this is the gold that they owe us. I doubt that London would send us, giant airplanes full of gold, unless there was, without a doubt, they owed us that money for fraud, waste, and abuse in that relationship as well. And that's just one example. So if we need to audit this, I want it to be live streamed. I mean, maybe they're just saying that, but I think that would be good. And Trump recently said that they're going to go and live stream or audit it, Fort Knox. So we want that to happen. We want to know if we have the gold, because if we don't have the gold, that's really, really, really bad. That means if it comes out on Monday, so we audited Fort Knox, there's no gold in there, then hold on to your hat, because things are going to go upside down really quick. The market will crash, everything will crash. That's bad. That means we have no real money. Now, I've seen reports that we do have the gold, so that's fine. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But gold will kill the Fed. This is why it's important, because if you have fake fiat money that's printed and borrowed printed out of thin air and borrowed by United States at interest, that's the Federal Reserve note. That's our current dollar system, right? Then the gold will destroy that, because the second you go, well, and think about it, it's the way we use money. We could use anything for money. You could use rocks if you really wanted to. You just have to pass a law that says rocks is money now, right?
Yeah.
But so if they go, okay, well, if Trump can say, well, look, we've been using the Federal Reserve note, thank you very much, but we're gonna buy. I'm gonna, well, he couldn't do an executive order to switch the money, but he's got the House and the Senate. So if he really, really wanted to, basically say, hey, somebody introduced a bill that we're going to move to a gold-backed standard, it can be pushed through. We have the political gravitas to make that sort of thing happen. And that's what we want, because we want sound money. We don't want, a bank in London to control the financial system that's owned by the Rothschilds and all this sort of stuff. So gold destroys the Fed, and that gold makes inflation go away. Gold does a lot of really, really good things. So we really, really want the audit to be done. And if it turns out that we do get like some sort of giant tax refund from the Trump says, all right, everybody gets $100,000. Don't just take $100,000 and buy whatever, because you need to protect yourself. You need to protect your family. Buy gold, buy XRP, buy things of value that the financial system is moving towards here in the future.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and play the clip.
Alrighty. Well,
it's your gold. So, I think you have a right to see it. Take a tour, Yeah, I think we should have a tour. And the president last night was like, I think he's in favor of it. That would be cool. And then it should be like a live tour. Like, you can see what's going on, open the door, what's behind it. Well, and I think I'd watch that. Oh, are you kidding? Yeah.
I think this is a totally different subject. I'm convinced that there's 4 different Elons. You know what I mean? It's got to be 4 different cyborgs in a mask. And then there's the one real Elon that hasn't come out of his lair in 20 years. But this is the skinny Elon who's full of energy. And the fat Elon that's on the yacht, Anyway, that's another topic for another time. But I'm convinced. I saw this one. I was like, dang, this Elon is really energetic. He's different than the other ones we've been seeing lately. It's just kind of sits there. But yeah, so let's audit, make sure that we have the gold, because we're moving towards switching the money over to sound money. We need to have the gold before we do that. So this is a really good step in the right direction. All right, so our next topic, we're going to hard pivot, but this was just too funny. We wanted to highlight this. So Trump was recently talking about how he wanted to make sure that men can't compete in women's sports, right? The most ridiculous thing that I can't even believe we're saying is that men should not be allowed to go into a women's sports league and compete, because it's just not fair. And this was the interaction that Trump said, we've got it's all printed out so you can see what happens, but watch this interaction. It's amazing.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Are you not going to comply with it? Well, we are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good, I'll see it, good. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. The NC.
So Janet Mills, who I'm just saying looks kind of like a dude anyway.
It's kind of bordering the Bridget Macron thing.
Kind of.
If you haven't heard about that, Candace Owens is doing a deep exploration into the fact that Emmanuel Macron, the French president, his wife is a trans woman. And not only is that Bridget Macron is a trans woman, it's Emmanuel Macron's father. Yeah, so that's crazy. His father became a trans woman and married his son. So so Candace is doing a deep dive. into that. And, all they have to do is come out and say that's not true, and, to stop, but they're trying to bribe her with $4 million, and, to stop talking about it and just let it go. French government, you can bribe me with $4 million. I'll stop talking about it.
Hey, I was going to say, once XRP hits the moon, then they can't bribe us anymore. But until then, times are tough. You got to do what you got to do. But yeah, the rumors about Brigitte, like, that's the thing is, people go, or not people. I've always wondered, like, why all this? They push this trans stuff like all the time out of nowhere, and it's because they are trans. It's just like Michelle Obama is a man. Like, they've all been doing this, and it's, I know people don't like that one. I mean, holy cow, Michelle. First of all, Barack and Michelle are getting a divorce because Michelle doesn't like the fact that Barack has been cheating on her with other dudes, right? And that's been going on for a long time. And those shoulders don't belong on a female. Like, this is ridiculous. So anyway, this sort of stuff is going to keep happening more and more and more. They wanted to normalize the transgender thing because, and they pushed their cards out too fast, because when Trump got in, it was supposed to be Hillary. So they're going to push it, and then there was nothing that we can do about it because, the deep state, the bad guys would have been in control, and it would have just been another thing of life. Well, now we got to, they're raising our taxes, and men can be women and women can be men.
Yeah.
And this is ending.
Strongly pushing that agenda on us. And I, for one, am glad Trump's putting an end to it. And didn't you say that he even addressed the governor of Maine as him?
Yeah, I couldn't find the video. I saw it earlier, but on a phone call, Trump called the governor of Maine he or him 6 times on a phone call. And Trump doesn't just say stuff. Like, sometimes he is bombastic, and people say that's ridiculous. Trump doesn't just say stuff. It seems like he's always firing from the hip. Trump is so smart that when he says something, he just lets out these little, tactical nukes, and just because they don't go off right away, they will. He's always right about everything he talks about, right? He's always vindicated. So when he says stuff like calling a female governor him 6 times, not on a call, obviously, he's obviously talking. He always obviously knows something. So the transgender stuff is coming to an end, and that's very, very exciting, because, I mean, if we can't even figure out what a woman is, then how the heck are we going to figure out where all this government corruption is taking us and stealing our money and sending it all over the world? So, it's a multi-front battle. It's a battle for the minds of the world, not just for Americans and our tax dollars.
It's also a spiritual battle for your souls.
100%. So if we're going to, start cleaning up everything, well, we're probably going to need a new FBI director, right? So I'm very excited that Kash Patel has been successfully approved, or nominated and approved, as the new head of the FBI. Let's play this real quick.
That Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and
Bill Gates, who flew on the Lolita Express 26 times, or no, that was Bill Clinton. Bill Gates flew on it even more, has been lobbying Congress. You look at people that like Adam Schiff, who have come, Senator or Congressman Adam Schiff from California, saying that Kash Patel is dangerous and he's a threat to democracy. Anytime they say it's a threat to democracy, it really means it's a threat to our money laundering operation and the bureaucracy that we've ensconced here in the federal government. This is something that I thought was crazy in his picture, and I don't know if this is Photoshopped. I don't think it is, but look, there's a paddle border on his tie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Obama's chef died in his backyard in a paddleboarding accident? I think this is a calm. Like, this is saying, your ass is grass, Obama. It's just a little Easter egg I found, and I wanted to highlight here. because
That's interesting. I don't think I heard about that one.
And look, this was taken back in 2020, but the chef died in 2023. Okay. My cousin Tafari Campbell, rest in peace. We're not related. I'm just kidding. But it wouldn't surprise me, like the way that these timelines are all going back and forth. We haven't talked about time travel. Maybe another time we can get into that. But there's something really, really crazy going on. What are the odds? Just another coincidence. Isn't it funny how there's all these coincidences? Yeah, this is something else completely. But yeah, so where'd it go? I lost my Cash Patel thing.
So
well, anyhow.
Yeah. Anyways, he already started like or since Trump's been in office, they already started laying off like some FBI heads and seniors. So I mean, the FBI was established by what was it?
J. Edgar Hoover, I think.
Hoover, yeah, Hoover established the FBI, and it's just they're supposed to be the police of America, protecting America. But I mean, not going to say too much. But
where does it talk about the Federal Bureau of Investigation in their Constitution? I thought police should be done on the state level. Why do we have federal police officers? And I'm sure somebody can explain to me why, but I don't care because look how corrupt it's gotten. J. Edgar Hoover was a transvestite, and he was gay. And the reason that the FBI was started was to find communists in the federal government. Well, really, it was just to figure out who's up to what and how to blackmail them into control. And J. Edgar Hoover, who was one of the worst of them all, was put in charge of it because he was right in the middle of it, right? He knew exactly where the bodies were buried or where the dresses were stored in whatever dude's closets, right? So that's why the FBI got its start is blackmail, is how to blackmail politicians, okay? So from its inception, it should not exist. The CIA should not exist. All these intelligence agencies should not exist, but they do. Now, I don't know how to fix it from the sense of like, well, the cat's out of the bag now because there's, all these different, there's the FBI, there's the CIA, there's the NSA, there's 17 intelligence organizations. There's the DNI. Then you go over to England, they have MI6, and there's Mossad in Israel. So, and a million and one other intelligence agencies that do the same thing. Excuse me. They blackmail. They make sure the drugs come over the borders by cartels that are on the take. And then once that cartel gets too powerful, they arrest El Chapo, and then they move on and make another cartel powerful, and then they're the supplier of whatever drugs they're bringing in. But the war on drugs is the allowance of drugs to come into the country. It's not a real war on drugs, right? It's a way to destroy, inner cities and minorities, and how to, and to destroy the American way of life. That's what it was used for. The crack epidemic was specifically to attack black people. And now we have the fentanyl epidemic that is, destroying everybody. It's not just targeted at one group of people anymore. It's everyone because society has been degraded so badly. So if you look at the work the FBI has done, and yeah, you can say, oh, they caught this killer, they caught this. They started all of these problems to begin with. Okay, so by its fruits it will be known. And if there's so many people in the FBI that are blackmailed or that are, how many people? Yeah, I've seen so many videos of people who posted, something about pro-Trump or asking for the January 6th people who got arrested for walking around near the Capitol. FBI agents would show up to your house if you posted on Facebook. These people do not belong in prison. The FBI is going to go harass Americans for their free speech instead of going and tracking down child molesters, human traffickers, and drug dealers. Like they have become the SS. They have become the secret police, the stormtroopers, whatever you want to call them. So this is why we need somebody like Cash Patel to come along and clean house. and he has said, I'm going to turn the FBI into a museum, which it should be. If it's not doing its job, it should be shut down. And if the FBI is directly responsible for allowing these drugs to come into the country, it should be shut down. They should be held accountable, just like every other government agency that the Department of Government Efficiency is auditing right now. And this is what I voted for. This is what you voted for. This is what, Jarrell voted for. I don't want, I don't want a $5,000 refund as much as I want them to shut down the IRS. I don't want any more taxes. I don't want any more Department of Education, where our kids get stupider every single year, as opposed to having, and still since 1980, they still haven't taught one child how to file their taxes, how to invest, how to buy a house. All that stuff is done with. And so, the Department of Education, we could do a whole episode on that. But these things need to be audited. They need to be shut down if they can't be fixed. The FBI can't be fixed, shut it down. I'm of the opinion it's not in the Constitution, get rid of it. But, that's one of the things, though, that has kind of like made me need to like reconsider things. Because I used to say and I'm not saying that I'm changed my beliefs or my opinions on certain topics, but like I used to say like universal healthcare is impossible. It's too expensive. I don't want to pay for somebody who's 300 pounds Ozempic, when they can just go on a treadmill, right? But what I've started to think about is like, look at all this money that's going all over the world, because you could have really good healthcare in the United States paid for by taxpayers, but then you look at, but I'm conflicted on that because look how inefficient and horrible the government makes everything. Like, so if we just had our money back, I'm sure that, the market would correct itself. The best doctors would have the most, not customers, but patients, and the bad ones would go out of business, right? And the market would naturally correct itself after a given amount of time. But it's even made me question, like, it wouldn't, like, we could have a universal basic income. Now, then that incentivizes people to not work, but, so that you have to readjust your thinking when it comes to these things. And I know
you got to be careful though, because that also teeters along, communism. You know.
I know, but we can. It's just, I'm just saying, try to expand your thinking, because I'm trying to think about if we do move into this place where what if Trump does the thing we really want him to do? He goes and he audits everything. Like, it takes half a year, everything gets audited, and then he comes back and he says, all right, everybody, we crunched the numbers, everybody gets $1 million, right? Just in 2 months, you're going to have that in your bank account. Then what's going to happen? Because a lot of people aren't going to work if that happens. Like, there's repercussions for everything that occurs. So anyway, it's just an interesting thought game that you can play is, well, if the money is put on a blockchain, all government money now goes on blockchain. So 100% of it can be audited. We know exactly where it came from, where it went every single time. So there can be no more fraud, and it actually is used for the purposes it's intended to. Think of all the good that could be done from that. And, now, do you give people all this money so they don't have to work anymore? Do you not? And just say, hey, sorry, we can't have the economy fail, because everybody just stops working one day, because if everybody gets $1 million, the folks that work at Starbucks or at Acme or whatever, at your local supermarket, they're not going to want to work. I'm not going to work anymore. I got $1 million here. So it's an interesting game that you got to play with yourself. Is, okay, there's ways to go about this the right way, and then there's or ways that sound good, and then they would be totally impractical and could lead to economic downturn. So it's a very fragile situation we're looking at.
Yeah, well, it's give them enough to satisfy them and control them. That's where the $5,000 comes in.
Right, just enough to be happy, but not enough to stop working.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, we can segue into our favorite subject now, XRP.
Yes, sir.
With everything that's going on, the markets are a little low right now for XRP, but there's a lot of big news happening on the back end. So the ISO 220 agenda was pushed from their launch was pushed from March 10th to July 14th, and everyone's thinking, oh, when ISO 220 gets implemented, that's when the price is going to go skyrocket. but ISO 220, ISO
It's
20022.
just 20022. It's
Yeah,
easier to say.
yeah, ISO 20022. That's just kind of like, it doesn't really affect the price of tokens and cryptocurrencies as much as people think they do. They think because XRP is ISO 220 compliant, then it's gonna, when the banks start using the system, the price is gonna go through the roof. That's not necessarily true. So let Paul explain a little bit.
Yeah. The ISO, it's the International Standards of Operations 20022. Fedwire Fund Servicing. This is how banks pay each other. Fedwire is one federal bank sending money to another federal bank, right? So you can't have ISO compliant crypto, right? And because the ISO standards are the same as like a speed limit on a road, right? Your car going the speed limit is, by going the speed limit, you are compliant. If but your car itself isn't speed limit compliant, because you can go faster, you can go slower. So the car itself, the token itself, isn't ISO compliant, but the standards of how they operate, in other words, it has to go this fast on this road. That's what it is. It's guidelines, right? It's the speed limit. So a lot of people are saying, oh, XRP is ISO compliant. That's a misnomer. So that it's just not how it works. You can't, the token itself isn't compliant. It's the standards of the way it's used that the banks have to adopt. And so some people have been saying, once March 10th hits, we're going to be millionaires. It's like, well, maybe not. Like, they're literally just updating the standards and practices for how the industry operates. It doesn't, adoption is how the money is, the big money is gonna get into the ecosystem of the crypto ecosystem, right?
Yeah, that's what you want. You want the big money to come into crypto and come in and start using tokens like XRP and Bitcoin. So that way the price goes up because it's not based off of market cap. It's based off of like the price isn't dictated by the market cap, because the market cap is you take the price of the tokens and you divide that price of tokens that's in circulation, and you divide that by the
trading volume.
The trading volumes. Yeah. But that has nothing to do with it. Market cap has no bearing on tokens like XRP. So, but other uses are, so like ETFs. Just the other day, Brazil, paved the way. They were the first country to approve a spot XRP ETF. So this is huge for America and for XRP in general. So when the SEC drops their case on XRP against Ripple, then you're going to start seeing the American ETFs get approved as well, and that's going to be, one of the factors that drives the price up. So,
and Brazil not only approves this spot ETF, they're also going to launch stable coins on the XRP ledger. Okay. So a lot of the Bitcoin excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so sorry. A lot of the Bitcoin maxis, a lot of the people online who say XRP is a scam and all this sort of stuff, they say, well, none of the banks are using XRP. You literally have the Bank of Brazil using the XRP ledger. They're going to put their own money onto the XRP ledger and use it as a means of transfer. This is huge. This is just one example. All these other banks, in the United States, because remember, the SEC only controls, its jurisdiction is the U.S. You go into other countries, they have their own version of the SEC and their own, requirements for their financial, system. But this is moving in the right direction. Like and it's really funny because it's like, the price kind of just goes a little bit, it's either all the way up to $3, all the way down to $2, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher. That's because it's just retail that's buying. It's just guys like you and me. if a whale who has like a zillion XRP sells it all, it crashes the price, and then everybody sells, all the small fish sell because big whale sold. Now the price is way down. He sold it at $3. The price crashes to $1.90. He can buy back in with his profits, and this is how they try to shake out retail. So all that is to say, there's people manipulating the market. Don't get scared. Don't sell. Just keep buying. If it goes down by a little bit more,
And,
this is how you
and don't think that the whales aren't buying, because there been like almost $1 billion worth of XRP that's been purchased within the last month. So 1 billion tokens, it's like 730 million tokens have been purchased. So the whales are moving, and they're trying to manipulate the price. People are getting in, and then the institutions are coming in. So just be aware that a lot of things are happening right now. So if you're looking at the price of XRP and you're like, oh, I bought, Jarrell and Paul said, I'm going to be a millionaire soon. Like, no, chill out. It's going to take its time. It's going to happen. So this brings us to the next thing, that Ripple has been revealed that they've been partnered with Amazon. And apparently that's happened since 2023, but they haven't revealed any of that to the public. So it's a lot of these NDA disclosed contracts that they have, but they just revealed that yesterday, that they partnered with Ripple, Amazon, to do their payments.
Yeah, and I mean, look, this is what's crazy. I've been following this stuff every day since 2021, right? I first heard about XR. Well, I actually heard about it in like 2013, but I didn't really start diving into it until 2020. And I missed this. Like, I had no idea that Ripple was partnered with Amazon for their payments, integrating XRP for payment transactions. Ripple's XRP is set to offer faster, more efficient payment solutions for Amazon's global customer base. This is back in 2023. So they're partnered. They're ready to go. They're sitting on the sidelines. The day that the lawsuit is dropped and we get crypto regulations, but the law is passed, Congress drafts it up, the Senate signs off on it, Trump signs off on it, boom, boom, boom. Hopefully there's no lawsuits further. I mean, there's through the court documents, there's something. It was discovered that there's 1,700 NDAs that they didn't want, that Ripple signed with Ripple, non-disclosure agreements that Ripple has partnered with 1,700 different companies and had them sign NDAs where they're not going to talk about how much money they have allocated to them. So as we've talked about before, the circulating supply really of XRP is like 50 billion. So there's like 50 billion XRP tokens that like anyone can buy. But there's an escrow account that Ripple itself manages. And I've heard different stories. Some people say there's 30 billion XRP. Some say it's like 50 billion. So I'm not really sure what it is at the moment. I think it's closer to 30 because they've been, selling it to institutions.
I think it's close to 30 because the whole overall supply is like 100 billion XRP.
So the point is, like, if Amazon, let's say they have 20 million XRP because they're like, well, Amazon's a mega big corporation. They're going to want to use Ripple for faster, more efficient payments because it's another way for them to save money. And so what if these 1,700 companies really are Bank of America, Santander, Amazon, apparently, Apple, companies like this have all gotten their allocation of XRP, but it's an NDA because there's no laws regarding crypto right now. So they can't exactly, a financial institution can't necessarily come out and say, hey, we own all of this crypto. This is a great idea. Let's use this. These NDAs have been signed because they don't want to get sued by the SEC for buying unregistered securities because of all the, it's millions of dollars worth for, very expensive for the lawsuit that would inevitably come up because they did something that was technically not legal at the time, right? So this is just another example of mega companies that have, done what we said is a good idea, which is buy XRP. Now, I can't we're inferring that they've bought XRP, but they have a partnership with the #1 XRP holder in the world. So this is a really good sign. Okay, so we wanted to highlight this because these NDAs, are going to go public, hopefully, or presumably, once the lawsuit is over, which is getting closer and closer by the day. So recently, the Coinbase case, because the SEC sued Coinbase, was dismissed with prejudice, which means the SEC can't sue Coinbase again. Okay, can't be refiled later, even after a settlement agreement with some minor concessions. This is a XRP attorney, Jeremy Hogan, and it says, I guess the SEC is not waiting for Paul Atkins, new SEC head, to be confirmed before making crypto news. And this is what Ripple is like right now. Hey, come on, let's get this lawsuit wrapped up. And so if the biggest, the most high profile case that the SEC is involved with right now is the Ripple lawsuit. Coinbase was like #2, and there's been a couple of other crypto related lawsuits that have been left by the SEC. The SEC's abandoned them, just like this Coinbase one. So the point is, we're getting really close. So this is really, really good news. More partnerships
so they
are being
announced
made public.
they announced the Coinbase case is dropped. So, I mean, any day now, you can hear that the XRP Ripple case is going to end and going to be dropped. So they might wait till Paul Atkins is confirmed, or they might do it beforehand. But once you see that, then you'll have all these other institutions come out and say, yes, we're partnering with Ripple. We're working in the background. We're using XRP. Then you're going to have institutions like BlackRock file for their ETFs with Ripple and XRP. So you're going to have a lot more money coming into XRP and the crypto coin. So and like Paul and I said, I don't think it's just going to be like a slow increase day to day. It's going to be one flip of the switch and the price is just going to jump high. It's going to go from like $3, $4, $5 to 150, 1,000, 10,000. It's going to be high. It's going to flip Ethereum instantly, and it's going to be close to competing with Bitcoin, and it'll eventually flip Bitcoin later on down the road. But it's going to be a flip of the switch. It's not going to be something that's gradually going up, giving normal people a chance to do it. They're going to price retail out right very early, and it's going to go up. So right now it's a good opportunity to buy while the prices are low, because you see all this stuff happening on the back end. It's working towards, we see the finish line, and we've been running this marathon and we see the finish line. It's right now, it's just getting there. You can see it, you can see the end. You just continue, keep your pace, continue to load up, and then you'll get there.
Yeah, I tell everybody who's just getting started with XRP, just try to get to 1,000 XRP. If that's all you get, you're going to be good, because on a long enough time frame, you're going to be very, very happy, because like Jarrell said, eventually XRP is going to flip Ethereum. Flip means go higher, like have more of a value or a bigger market cap. It's going to flip Ethereum, and I do think it will flip Bitcoin someday. Maybe next time we can cover this one, but there's been a lot of speculation about who Satoshi Nakamoto is, the creator of Bitcoin. There's a lot of compelling, albeit circumstantial, but extremely compelling evidence that Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, is Satoshi Nakamoto. And if it turns out that Jack Dorsey was the guy who created, or one of the 4 Satoshis, I think there's 4 Satoshis, that were creating Bitcoin, well, Trump is not a fan of Jack Dorsey, and Jack Dorsey is not a fan of Trump. Do you think Trump would be super thrilled if he found out that one of his sworn enemies, who's done so much to mess with him to take away his free speech by banning him from Twitter, do you think Trump is going to use Bitcoin for the future of the United States money, or do you think he's going to use something like XRP a company that Brad Garlinghouse, as we've shown, is very buddy-buddy with. The CEO of Ripple is very buddy-buddy with Trump. And also, I mean, this is one of the things that Bitcoin maxis just will never admit to. It's like, do you think the government would really just get involved with like Bitcoin? Okay, and you don't think they would get involved with Bitcoin if they didn't know who made it and who created it?
Yeah.
Like it's good because it's anonymous. No, the government doesn't operate that way. And even so, Satoshi's wallet holds the most Bitcoin out of any wallet. It's like millions and millions of Bitcoin are in this one wallet.
And if you decided to just rug pull everybody one day, that's crazy. So yeah, they know.
Yeah. So, and I pulled this up on the screen. Grayscale has publicly filed a XRP. So look, Grayscale Investments announced today the launch of the first United States-based XRP trust, a closed-end funding offering accredited investors direct exposure to the XRP token. This is just one. Now, Grayscale is a huge investment fund, right? This is just one that has come out, and this is before the lawsuit is even over. So these big financial institutions are moving towards XRP. Like they're moving into crypto. They're going to use a bunch of different ones like XLM, XDC, HBAR, Quant, Algorand. Those are like the 6 utility tokens. I think there's a few more that I can't remember, but those are the primary ones that are like the most popular or whatever. They're not going to use Bitcoin. Bitcoin is too old, clunky, and they don't know where it came from. So, who do you call customer service wise when your Bitcoin gets frozen or there's you have a tech issue if transferring it from one wallet to another? There's nobody to call. So, if there's no customer service, well, why would a bank use it? What happens, with their wallet has problems? I've worked in banking for over 10 years. There's no way in any universe where they're going to go, that's fine. We're going to use Bitcoin for payments, which was the original reason why Bitcoin was created, was as a payment, P2P payments, right? It was to circumvent the banks. Well, if Bitcoin can't do that, it's a failure. If its white pages thesis if it doesn't accomplish what its white pages says it was going to do, it's a failure. And Jack Dorsey, who allegedly created Bitcoin, said that himself. That was a direct quote. Okay, so I think that we're moving towards XRP. It's not going to be Bitcoin. Just because Bitcoin is number one right now doesn't mean it's going to be number one forever. Xerox was a bigger company than Apple at one point in time. And then Microsoft and Apple and Macintosh, which, Apple, basically stole all their best ideas and came up with their own companies. And Steve Jobs even joked around with Bill Gates at one point. Bill Gates did a story where he said, I went up to Steve Jobs and said, "So you're stealing all of my ideas, huh?" And Steve Jobs said, "Both of you and I both know we took all of Xerox's best ideas and made our companies with them." You can find that quote online. But the point is, like, just because you're first doesn't mean that you're always going to be number one. It just means you're first. Better technology comes along and replaces you. Just like we used to have the horse and buggy, and now we have Lamborghinis. Now we have a Ford F-150. The horse and buggy will always have a nice little place for itself, but if I want to drive a truck, I'm going to buy a Ford. If I want to go really fast, I'm not going to use a horse. I'm going to use a Lamborghini. XRP is that Lamborghini, right? And Bitcoin is the horse and buggy. So good for you if you made a lot of money off of it. No shame there. You're awesome. You saw something and you made an investment. You made your play and you were successful. But now we're talking about the next iteration, the next generation of crypto. Okay, because we're not going to use 2009 technology, for 2026, right? We're going to use it. It's going to have its store of value, which baseball cards have a store of value. Like, what is store of value? But the real money is going to go where XRP is, because if you allow banks to pay each other more money faster at less cost, that's the utility of that thing that you use to facilitate that. XRP is where the real value is at.
Yeah. Well, that's our episode for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And, just remember to, stay vigilant, always ask questions if, they try to buy your silence with $5,000. And keep investing in XRP. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.